This program is brought to you by Dolco Media. Fixing South Sudan, ideas for the new nation. With award-winning journalist Mading Moore.
Absolutely.
Honorable Ashwin, as you can see, the ideas of the initiatives are varied.
On July 8th, the clashes in J1 took place, which was very unfortunate.
Including country-specific ones, which
and the rebellion continue to be
Fixing South Sudan, ideas for the new nation.
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Mading Moore. This week, a debate about the impact of nationalism in fixing South Sudan. Can this idea move South Sudan from a country of many people, many nations, to that of one nation, one people? Should we embrace nationalism to rid ourselves of tribalism and build a just and cohesive South Sudanese society? With us for the show is Honorable James Kok Ruei, the former governor of Fangak State. We are happy to welcome him on Fixing the Nation for the second time. Welcome to the show.
thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine.
So we talk of nationalism as an idea for fixing South Sudan. Nationalism is defined as a devotion to one's nation. Or how do you define nationalism?
First of all, thank you, Madingor, for having me for the second time in the program of Fixing South Sudan. When you talk of nationalism, what does the word nationalism mean? It means you have a nation and you have the spirit inculcated into your mind, into your heart, that you own that nation. And this is where the word nationalism will come in. It is the spirit of belonging, the ownership of that particular nation or a country. And these are driven by patriotism and commitment toward your nation. And the question would be, why do people have nation? They have nation because this is where they found themselves. And because they are created to be in that particular territory, they must devote all their thinking, their life, and whatever they have, including a physical strength, must be geared toward that territory. That is why you see many people die because of their motherland. Many people participated to represent that particular. So nationalism is a spirit that moves you to make that nation to be known by others.
Okay, let's start here. Many people die to have a nation, and our people died to have a nation. And let's underscore what you just said. Ownership. We died for our country, and yet you feel that we are not owning it, we are not giving it our very best attention.
Many people in this country called South Sudan, before it become a country, many have sacrificed their life for it to be where it is today. And that sacrifice did not go in vain. That is why you have South Sudan. And because of that, you must be very careful You must be very careful. Underline the word careful. You don't throw words, action, anything that jeopardize and put this preachers call nationalism into a jeopardy. For instance, why do you rebel against your own constitution? A country that you own, you have a constitution. Everything you have as a person or as people are all described in that constitution. For instance, our transitional constitution. The Bill of Rights are there. Anything that you need, including your own privacy, are described in the Constitution. Then the question would be, why are you destroying it? And this is where your program of fixing the nation and nationalism become an idea to fix South Sudan.
Now let's take it in paces. Let's talk about the idea of nationalism in our society. You are saying that is what is needed to fix South Sudan. Where do we start?
Number one, Madingor and James Kok must confess and must agree to themselves that South Sudan belongs to them. And if this is the idea, we are cautioning everybody, a citizen of South Sudan, that for you to be recognized outside or next door is for you to preserve the integrity and the dignity that reflect you, that you are a South Sudanese. And I'm saying this because I have witnessed things that are disappointing me. I thought after liberation of this country, after 2011 or July 9, 2011, there shouldn't be any problem again because we were not problem to ourselves. There were somebody who were a problem to us. But shockingly, I found myself going outside what I was claiming to be an idea of oppression from the other person, which I have liberated myself from. So the idea of fixing South Sudan, you must distance yourself from tribal grouping. You must distance yourself from inciting things that are dividing people of South Sudan. You must distance yourself and observe carefully to play around with the public resources and properties of South Sudan. You must also make yourself clear that it is only through the institutions of this country that will bring everybody together. So, to be a nation, you must have a law that governing you. For instance, the rule of law. And it says nobody above the law. So if we don't observe this, this country will have nowhere to go.
Let's put it this way. The first Prime Minister of Italy has once said this: we have succeeded in making Italy. We have a country. Now, let us make Italian. So in South Sudan, we have a country called the Republic of South Sudan. It is a geographical entity, and it is recognized by sovereign nations. The second phase is to now have people called South Sudanese who see themselves as one nation, one people. So when we talk about nation making, we have a country, yes, and you're saying that country should be governed by laws, we need institutions. But more than that, we need a lot for South Sudan to be a country?
For you to be a country and for others to get convinced that you are a country, first of all, you must have all the instruments that reflect the presence and the being of a nation or a country. What are those? Number one, you must have infrastructures. You must also have a permanent, stable security for you to build these infrastructures, to build institutions, to build policies, make policies, and to create programs that promote nationalism. And for instance, National Youth Service. In Madingor, you need to go to that National Youth Service. For you to understand what is this South Sudan, for the idea of nationalism and patriotism to be inculcated into your mind so that you don't create a situation that takes South Sudan back. And this has been seen very clear. The recent war, it is the youth of South Sudan who are destroying the country because they are misled. And because of that, we need to build this country, we need to build institutions, we need to build infrastructures, we need to build relations with other nations because we are not an island. We also need to build what we call a peaceful coexistence within South Sudan. Yes, we are 64 ethnic groups, but we are all South Sudanese. In citizenship, meaning we are all equal before the law. We must have equitable distribution of all the resources. We must have equitable distribution of development. And we must all embrace that we are one people living in one country. And for you to reflect that, you must see the people far the west, the far west or the far east have the same services. You must also understand that the secondary school in Rang, you have a secondary school in Raja. This is where you will reflect a nation.
We must be equal.
We must be equal. Before law, before that constitution, we are all equal.
Not just by words, but also by deeds.
This must be reflected on the ground.
Let's take a break from here.
Welcome to Dolco Media Services. We have so many services for you, such as video production, camera hiring, sound system hiring, event management, passport photo, stand-up comedy, printing, drama, music, dance, multimedia, and photography. Dolco Media Services, our culture, our pride.
Welcome back to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Madingor. With us for the show is Honorable James Kok Ruei, the former governor of Fangak State. Nationalism as an idea for fixing South Sudan is his proposal. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So we talk about nationalism, we talk about one people, one nation. That is an aspiration. But the truth is that we are still, in a way, reflecting our entities, our various nationalities. We are not, in a way, one people, one nation. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is where I always went into lockerhead with many group. And I do believe I'm right. Because you cannot claim that you are a South Sudanese and you have at the same time an idea to divide people of South Sudan.
For instance?
And what about all this confusion?
Which confusion?
The confusion in which South Sudan is going through.
Which confusion?
It's because of ethnicity, because of tribalism. Okay? And I'm against this. Why is South Sudan in war? It's just because of tribalism. Simply.
How is that manifested?
It manifested in a way that some people have forgotten that there is a law governing how people get into leadership. You can't just appear overnight or in the mid of day and you say, today Madingor, I want it to be X or Y. Violating the law is put in place. So what is hurting South Sudan today is tribalism. And you know tribalism is accompanied by many of its relatives. One of them is clanism, sectionism. And then you go to the family level. And even you go to brother and sisters. Is it the nation that we were dreaming for? For me, no. South Sudan, for it to be South Sudan, we must embrace, all of us, that we are South Sudanese. Irrespective of our size, irrespective of our culture, irrespective of our sex, we are South Sudanese.
So if tribalism has torn apart the nation, then what should we look forward to? What should build South Sudan?
That is why people have now called for national dialogue, because issues that are destroying South Sudan should be discussed in that forum in a very transparent manner and in a very accountable way. Because, for instance, these tribal grouping, what do they discuss? People are deviating from multi-party system where parties are the one to play politics. And now people are falling to region, to tribe or ethnicity. That one cannot be a nation. You are dividing a nation. You are inviting many things that are not accepted. For instance, corruption with its nepotism and favorism will come in. Because what is that Mading Mor and his group, his tribal men, would discuss? What is that you are going to discuss? You must discuss again others.
But the Constitution says that people have the right of assembly.
Okay, that right of assembly should not be used in a political atmosphere. Why this grouping appearing in Juba? Why don't they go to other areas? And all these grouping are intellectual, are leaders that also created a confusion. I'm an SPLM. Why should I think of being a member of Nuer Council of something, or you being members of Jiang Council and something, or Equatorial leadership something? Why? And you have a party. Why do you bring yourself down from that level of being a leader in the party Would your activities be known because you have made yourself to be a member of a tribal grouping?
Are you saying that there is a negative consequence to tribal grouping?
Of course, because they impose their own perception into national issues. And I have an example. 2011, and you, Madingor, you may be also aware, there were so many meetings. One of them was the Equatorian meeting in Nyakuren. Do you know the resolution of that?
No, I don't.
Yes. These are some of the things. And now they are even entering into a regional international forum. Even the national the national reflection is being confused.
Why do you think that we take comfort in that tribal association?
Yeah, because, for instance, let's take maybe I'm a Nuer. If there is a Nuer council of elders or leadership forum or whatever name you give, what do you think they will discuss in that forum? It is something good for South Sudan. It will be.
It could be social issues.
Some social issues can be discussed, but the main issues will be what is the interest of the Nuer? Should interests of Nuer not be discussed in the party? And why should it be particular?
But the interests of Nuer will not have to be exclusive to the others.
Yeah, and that is why I'm saying if those tribal grouping are for social interest, then why don't you go and try to resolve social issues? For instance, the Nuer were fighting among themselves. Why don't you go there? They were fighting in Rumbek between communities. It's not politically motivated. The Young Council of Elders should have gone there. But they are hopping around Juba. And by the way, why now? When we were in the bush, there were no such things. Even when I left Sudan, there were no such things. Why now?
But why do you think the political parties are being abandoned? Is it their own weakness?
And this is where nationalism, patriotism, and citizenship become important. Because if we don't adhere to the rule of law, then South Sudan will not be a country. We cannot be governing South Sudan through tribal grouping.
But if the parties are not stepping up, then you will have...
Not because parties are not stepping up.
What is the problem?
Rome were not built in one day. Why don't you give chance to the political parties? For instance, the principle of SPLM, enshrined in the constitution of SPLM, is to build a nation based on a just, democratic, secular system of governance and popular participation for the whole people of South Sudan. Do you think those tribal grouping will have such principle? It is only political parties.
Are you suggesting that they are swallowing up the political parties?
Have you seen that cartoon made by Adija? SPLM were portrayed to be swallowed by Young Council of Elders and Nuer Council of Elders, and is struggling to get out. There is no smoke without fire. Madingor, there is no smoke without fire. It is this tribal grouping who are also destroying South Sudan because they impose their will. And one of my friends, which I have seen in the national dialogue, it said, it is unfortunate that people of South Sudan are paying their allegiance to their tribes, not to the Republic of South Sudan. I'm not the one talking about this alone. There are so many people, and I'm disgusted of this grouping because they are destroying an international system adapted all over the world. They want to train themselves and make some interests.
Talking about fixing South Sudan, we have to fix it through this idea of nationalism. And
It
you are
is
saying
only
what Barack Obama once said, that you will be judged not by what you destroy, but by what you build. So what do we need to build now going forward?
we must be patriotic, we must be nationalists, because leaders who are not sellable across should not claim leadership. You must be sellable across. And you should not be working with a briefcase political party based on your ethnic, and then you claim that I want to rule South Sudan. Forget it. It will not work.
And the resources?
When it comes to resources, resources are for South Sudan. You know what we said in our national anthem. A country of great abundance. They are not belong to any individual or group of people or family. These are national wealths.
And there has to be
that are to be shared equitably across the board.
Nationalism in every respect.
Everything that we do, including your suit, you must see it as a national suit, not a tribal suit.
Will nationalism build South Sudan?
Yes.
Yes?
We have done it. That is why we have South Sudan. If it was not the heroes, the patriotic comrades who have sacrificed their life, you shouldn't have a flag in New York, in Addis Ababa, or everywhere. It's because of nationalism. And let me tell you, believe me or not, nationalism will prevail. Because there are people who are against it because of their interests. But at the end of the day, we must convince all that we are South Sudanese.
One nation.
In one country.
One nation.
One people.
Okay, let's stop it from there. That is Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. With me, Madingo. Thanks for joining us every Thursday. If it's Thursday, it's Fixing South Sudan.